Hello. This is one of my Magic mailbag videos where I take a look at some of the coolest stuff that I've been sent through the post over recent weeks. I've actually received a handful of interesting miniatures, some classic and some brand new, for games that I'm really familiar with and for stuff that I'm just really excited to check out. And I've also got my hands on a brand new RPG that has a solo element that has got me very excited, and something a bit more unusual for a potential project down the line. So if you are interested in hearing me talk about some of the fun stuff that's been sent my way, and thinking about some potential projects that I might get stuck into down the line, then join me for this Magic mailbag. So first things first, this is a sponsored video, not in the sense that I've been paid to make it by any of these companies, but everybody has sent me stuff here for free. So these are not reviews, these are not recommendations, these are just things I have received from companies, in most of these cases, that I'm really excited in finding out more about, and I'm just sharing with you what I've been sent. So that is the nature of this video. Please don't confuse it for anything else. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is Trench Crusade, and they have actually sent me a couple of their plastic miniatures sets in anticipation of their first two-player starter set, the Carcass Front, that's coming out relatively soon. Now, if you are not familiar with Trench Crusade, this is a brand new, or relatively new, miniatures skirmish game. It is set in an alternate history version of World War I that is really... It is based on the art of a chap called Mike Francina, who is absolutely awesome. His art is incredible. I interviewed him before they launched their Kickstarter just over a year ago, getting to 2 years ago. And he is really fantastic, got some really fun stories to tell, and has worked on lots of video games, has actually worked on Warhammer-related video games, Silent Hill, all of these cool things. And from his imagination has spawned these very dark and sort of gruesome, grimy, sort of demonic creatures. There's a lot of religious iconography, but it's trench warfare. So it's a different type of eternal war, a world where the First World War has continued. There are lots of different factions. There are demonic factions. There are devoutly religious factions. All of this sort of stuff is very much visible, and there's some really iconic designs. You may have seen the Artillery Witch, which I think is genuinely an iconic design, just an incredible silhouette. I'm not surprised that that's been taken up by cosplayers and fans the world over, because it is a unique design that I think looks fantastic and kind of really brings something new to the tabletop. And of course, as a miniatures game, it has been written by Thomas Pirinin with help from Jervis Johnson and Andy Chambers. It is only growing in terms of its support. I am actually working on right now a history of Trench Crusade, the making of Trench Crusade over the last 3 years. So that is going to be, I think, a really interesting story. I've been able to chat to some of these folks and do interviews with them. So I'll be sharing that, hopefully, in the not too distant future. But yeah, very exciting to see Trench Crusade really build a community, really build a presence as the game continues to grow at the tabletop. Obviously, the rules are being refined. This new two-player starter set, I think, will be quite an exciting milestone for both the company but also that community, because now you're going to see the sort of starter box in stores and people are going to be able to get into Trench Crusade. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm going to be sharing those interviews. I'm going to be sharing that history on my channels. But yeah, I was really excited to receive some of the plastics that they've produced. So they have moved into plastic production over the last year. They have so far only done the one warband in plastic, which is the Prussian Strostruppen warband. So you can get the base warband that's got 8 miniatures in, which I think these are really lovely designs. They're just really, really nice models, very characterful. I've seen folks like Louis Sugden has painted the Hauptmann, the sort of captain, the sergeant for this unit, and looks amazing. Absolutely incredible. Then there's some additional troopers as well. And then one of the more recent releases is the Sniper Priests, which I think are amazing. I also really like this box design. It's almost like a CD, classic sort of CD shape, just for the single sprue, I assume. I haven't opened any of these up yet because I don't want to do so until I'm ready to either assemble them or play with them or see what happens with this sort of two-player box, that sort of stuff. There's also the potential that some of these will be giveaways that I will do through my Patreon at patreon.com/JordanSorcery. I tend to do at least one giveaway every single month. I think the Trench Crusade, so these are the Principality of New Antioch, which I don't think is the Trench Crusade faction that I'm going to actually collect when I get around to starting a project for them. So it seems likely, I don't want to guarantee it, but it seems likely that these will be giveaways on Patreon at some point in the near future. But I really like these. I'm very much looking forward to checking them out. I cannot wait to see what the 2-player starter set does and how things evolve from here. We know that they have brought in a load of talent from like former Games Workshop designers and writers and artists. It feels like a very exciting game at the moment. Will that hype continue? Will that excitement grow and evolve? And sort of, you know, the community already seems pretty big so far. Obviously nothing in comparison to 40k, but for a new game that's only a couple of years old, that's only now sort of really finding its feet and getting its main proper game out there, feels quite exciting. So I'm looking forward to talking about it more. I am doing my research at the moment to put together that history, so you'll hear more from me about Trench Crusade, both on this channel and on the Pods channel, where I'll be sharing those interviews. Already those conversations have been super interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to talk more about Trench Crusade. Okay, this next thing is something that I am really, really into. So this is the Blade Runner role-playing game. Now, this is produced by Free League, and I'm really excited to have a copy of it and the starter set and the asset pack that they've just released. So if you're not familiar with Free League, they actually produce a large number of different role-playing games. They've released Vaesen, which I'm currently working my way through at the moment, which is absolutely stunning. The Alien RPG that I have done a review of here on the channel, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great one-shot system. The actual rules, very thematic, really beautifully produced books. And the same is seeming so for this Blade Runner RPG as well. The reason I was really eager to get my hands on a copy of this Blade Runner game, not only because I love Blade Runner, I think it is a fantastic world, that sort of dystopian cyberpunk kind of world that they created with the original film, which is very much brought to life with the sort of really beautiful art and the way that this book has been designed. There's so much really nice graphic design here. But yes, you absolutely get the feel of the film. Obviously, there has since been a sequel, which I think is artistically very beautiful, although I'm not the biggest fan overall of the movie. But that is part of this setting in here as well. And there's also, I believe, a brand new TV show that's just got a trailer for Blade Runner. So it's a very exciting time for the Blade Runner franchise. I personally am just a massive fan of the original movie. So being able to play in that space, I think, is really, really fun. But the thing that I am even more excited about when it comes to this is that the asset pack that they just released. So I suppose I should give you a little bit more information. The way the Blade Runner game works is that you're on cases, you're doing investigations, but it's not so much about solving them as it is about creating moral questions that you must solve. So, yes, you're trying to find some criminals and you're trying to hunt down whatever, which isn't necessarily replicants in this because the timeline has moved on. You can play as a replicant police officer in this particular game. But whatever investigation you're doing is supposed to create these kind of moral questions, these moral quandaries that you then, as a group of players, have to solve and sort of think about and kind of face into. Sort of like the stuff that Deckard has to deal with when it comes to, you know, no spoilers, but certain characters in the original movie. So that is what they're aiming to create. But because it's very much investigation-led, you have to have, like, maps and you have to have photographs. You have to be able to zoom in, you enhance, and sort of, you know, you're investigating these sort of photos using the technology of the Blade Runner era to actually zoom in on photos. You can kind of get impossible angles when you zoom in on them. So it's really, really fun. But to aid that, you actually need like a load of assets. So rather than having to create those yourselves, so it's got a load of images that you can use that are mostly generic and allow you to slot them into different investigations that you've built yourself, but have the feeling and the look of exactly the kind of high-quality handouts you would expect from Free League. The other thing that is in here is a solo mode, and that is the thing that I was super excited about. I absolutely adore the point-and-click adventure from Westwood Games set in the Blade Runner universe. It's kind of a parallel investigation where you're more or less playing Becka, but you're not. And I think your name is McCoy, and you're doing an investigation that goes to basically the same places that Becka goes to, and it kind of intersects but does not directly influence or is not directly influenced by the movie, but it takes place at the same time. It's a fantastic point-and-click adventure game. Absolutely loved it. Completed it at least once, I think a few times over the years. But yeah, really, really fantastic. So the idea of doing a solo role-playing game that kind of brings that back to life for me is really exciting. You know, I love traditional role-playing games. I love my role-playing game groups who I get to play with for a lot of different games. But being able to just play this one on my own, kind of in my sort of game book slot where I spend time playing game books like fighting fantasy stuff, that is really exciting. So I've read the rules. I know how to play. I haven't found the time to do the solo adventure yet from the starter set, but that is next up on my gaming roster. So I'm quite excited about that. I'm thinking I might record it and share it with Patreon supporters. So, because I share the first hour of the game books that I sample. So I recently did a Sherlock Holmes game book, and I've done Fighting Fantasy game books and other stuff like that. So I might record and share the actual solo adventure, playing through it on my own. But yeah, I don't know for certain yet. But if you're interested in that, you can check out the Patreon again, and you'll find anything else on that. But yes, I'm really excited about this game, getting to spend some proper time being a Blade Runner, doing this investigation. I think it's going to be fun. Okay, this one is slightly different, and it is pretty special, I think. So if you remember from many moons ago, probably a couple of years now, I did a video that was my top 10 grails, the miniatures that I most wanted to get hold of from Games Workshop history. And some of those I've been able to get over the years, some of those are still outstanding, and one of them was the Blue Dragon, a classic Citadel release, a boxed dragon set released in the 80s that I just absolutely love. I think that this is so beautiful, this miniature. Really, really fantastic. Just a characterful miniature. It reminds me of Through the Dragon's Eye, if you remember that kids show, which I loved as a kid. I thought was really, really fun. But the dragon in that is very similar, I think, to the Blue Dragon here. And it's a very different type of dragon. So it's just very characterful. It's kind of Jim Henson-esque in a way. So I really, really like it. But it's, it's sometimes difficult to get hold of some of these classic models, but very, very generously, and I just can't get over this. A supporter, fan of the channel, Michael Glazer, has sent me this boxed copy of the Blue Dragon with the original Sorceress and the pile of magic books that the dragon is protecting, and I am just so, so grateful. It is as beautiful and amazing as I expected. The box is just fantastic. It's of an era when, the back of the box has got the stats on, and it's got a little bit of lore and background. Just a beautifully rendered, painted version of the miniatures. So, so fantastic. The actual inside the box still comes with the original mail order feedback card. So you can enter that, and you can tick off the boxes where you purchased it, what you like the most about it, all of that sort of good stuff. List your favorite games by any manufacturer. And do you collect miniatures? Is the final question. But so that's really amazing. And yeah, I just love, this little pile of books. And then there is the Sorceress as well, who I think is really fantastic. I would love to find a great use for the Sorceress. I think there's kind of an elfin quality to the Sorceress model. So I could very much imagine including her in some sort of elven force at some point in the future. I have a number of sea elves from the old Marauder miniatures, so I could imagine using her in that kind of force. And then the dragon itself, it's actually in multiple parts, but all of the parts are present, and it's a small little petite kind of pot-bellied dragon, really fantastic. I am very humbled and very, very grateful to Michael for sending me this. Absolutely stunning. I can't get over it. But yeah, I really, really wonderful. Genuinely wonderful stuff. So yeah, just awesome. Just totally awesome. Michael has asked me if I would be interested in making a video about Dreadfleet, and I have told him that yes, I absolutely am interested in making such a video. There's no promises that that's going to be anytime soon. There's a load of stuff on the pad, a load of stuff on the roster. But yes, I would love to explore the history of Dreadfleet. It's a fantastic game. So I am going to work on that. It's on my long list. So Michael, I will be making it at some point. But just, you know, don't hold your breath. It's not going to be soon, but I will be making that video down the line. And once again, thank you so much. This one is an interesting one. So if you're not familiar with GeekNSon, they are a manufacturer of gaming tables. Now, they have been for many years producing really gorgeous tables. So these are the kind of tables that basically they can look like a regular dining room table, but then you can lift these lids off and then reveal underneath there is actually sort of a recessed gaming area. So you can set up a game, you can set up a board game, or potentially a miniatures game as long as the terrain is not too high, that you could then leave. You can put the lids back on and then eat your dinner off of the table and then take the leaves back off and then you can continue playing, or, you know, leave a game for a number of nights, or a jigsaw puzzle, or whatever it might be. So I have long admired these particular tables, but, you know, truth be told, they are not cheap. They can be quite pricey because of the handmade, the manufacturing processes. They can take a bit of time to put together. Obviously, there's accessories you can get to really enhance what you can do with them. So whether that is lighting or drinks holders or Games Master screens or built-in shelves, all of this stuff, it can, you know, get quite pricey when you're trying to put together one of these tables. But nonetheless, not that I can afford one, I was still really interested in talking to GeekNSon just about the potential for collaboration down the line. They make something that I think is really cool. I obviously play a lot of games and I talk about games. So is there a potential future where we collaborate on something in you know, down the line? So that is why at UK Games Expo I went to see GeekNSon and we had a great chat and I got to see some of the tables in person, just like marvel at them and really start building my wish list for whenever in the future, if I could ever afford one, that I would get. And in the meantime, they actually sent me a set of different materials to check out, to sort of see what the options are for different types of table. So these are literally like little, I guess, chocks, or I'm not sure what you would call them, but different types of wood, different types of finish. So you can actually take a look at like the different finishes that you can get on the actual wood itself, the stains and the sort of veneers and all that kind of stuff. And then a load of swatches, I think that's the right word, for all of the different, like, velvet or whatever the material would be, the felt lining for inside the actual gaming table. So, you know, you can get mustard and you can get blues and burgundy reds and all sorts. Martha has just come rocketing over because I had to actually vacuum these because they were instantly covered in Martha's fur, because she loves just rolling around on top of them for some reason. So I think if I were to ever get such a table, it would be impossible to get Martha off of it. Isn't that right? I think. Yeah, see? So straight back, straight in. But yes, so I was really pleased to get a hold of these and to sort of take a look at kind of build that sort of dream vision. And I believe that GeekNSon have actually just updated their website. They put all of their different options on there. It's geeknson.com. I'll put a link in the description. I'll put a link in the description to all of the different companies who have sent me stuff for this episode. So yeah, really interesting tables. If you have, you know, that is a certain amount of disposable income and you want to go in on that luxury purchase, they look very cool. And if you do end up getting one, then I will be very jealous of you because I think that they're really fantastic. I would love to collaborate with GeekNSon in the future. We're having conversations about what that could look like and whether or not there's some sort of sponsorship or discounts or deals or that kind of stuff. If that sort of thing ever works out, you will be the first to know. There's loads of moving parts to this kind of stuff, so it may well not. But I thought I would share just some of this cool material stuff that they've sent me and, yeah, mention the fact that we've been having some fun chats about gaming, and I know that they're looking to build their gaming community on Discord and kind of do a lot of stuff there, which I think is pretty cool. So I wanted to give them a shout out. And last, but by no means least, are a couple of miniatures that I've been sent from Harrowhound Games, who are the folks behind John Blanche's On Guard. So this, if you've watched my video, you'll know all about it already, but this is a dueling miniatures game that is being developed based on the concepts and ideas and world that John Blanche created. So it has a load of amazing, really incredible sort of sketched concept art by John Blanche that have then been turned into these really very on point, very thematic John Blanchean kind of miniatures. And I've been sent 2 of them. So this is Captain Rodolphus, who is really fantastic. I've not glued any of the sort of components together. I actually haven't opened all of the metal components as well, because I don't want to lose anything before I get a chance to actually assemble them. But yeah, I've been sent 2 of the actual duelists. So I've also been sent Ben Hook, who is kind of this dangerous, kind of roguish vagabond sort of chap. And there were a couple of just really, really stunning, kind of like, I don't know that they're objective markers, but they're kind of just bonus miniatures. They're not duelists. They're these kind of mermaids, but they are, as you would expect from a John Blanche kind of world, these are mermaids that are actually like ghoulish, kind of creepy, sort of devilish monsters from the deep. So they are amazing miniatures. I absolutely love them. They have the real feel of, you know, kind of like the art that is on the borders of the Mordheim core book. So it's that kind of feel, that kind of sort of flavour. Really, really nice. So yeah, very, very pleased to get my grubby mitts on some of these miniatures. I would love to put these together. I'm very excited to play the game. Thomas Pirinen, again, is actually the designer behind this one, but he's come up with a brand new dueling system. Sounds really interesting from the little information that's been shared so far. I'm hoping, so it's just come off of Kickstarter for the initial wave of miniatures. I am hoping that the actual game Kickstarter is not too far into the future. I also am really eager to hear more about the world that these are set in. So yeah, it does seem really, really fun, really up my street. Obviously, you know, we very sadly lost John Blanche just a couple of months ago. I think that has had an impact on the team because they were close with John Blanche, and obviously that's, you know, this was his vision for this dueling world. But it sounds like things are still on track, still moving forward. And like I say, very pleased to have received some of these miniatures. Hopefully, I don't know whether they're going out to Kickstarter backers yet, or if they've already been dispatched, or what the situation is there. But from the sounds of things, that Kickstarter was successful, and there's more to come. There's more miniatures. There's the actual game rules as well. So there's a chance to like assemble these and have these painted up and have them ready for when Thomas Pirinen's rules are actually released. Very, very cool. So yeah, really, really pleased to have those. Although, you know, I won't deny that they are really scary and intimidating. These are 54mm scale miniatures. In some ways, I think that will make it easier to kind of paint them, but they're also just these lovely... They're not overly detailed, but they're these lovely detailed models. They're big. They are Blanchean in design. Maybe, I have no idea what kind of paint techniques I would try and apply, whether that would be a Blanchitsu approach or something else. I guess we'll see when we get there. There's other painting jobs I have to complete first. So we will see what that looks like when the time comes. Okay, folks, I was going to pile up some of this stuff here again, but as you can see, Martha has laid claim to my desk, so I cannot do so. But yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody who has sent me anything over the last few weeks. So I want to thank Factory Fortress for sending me those Trench Crusade miniatures. I want to thank Harrowhound for sending me the John Blanche's On Guard miniatures. I would like to thank Free League Games for sending me the Blade Runner RPG. And I would like to thank GeekNSon for sending me the materials for their tables so that I could take a look at what they are actually like. And of course, I am so, so grateful to Michael for sending me the Blue Dragon, an absolutely stunning gift. And I'm very touched. So thank you, sir. It means a lot. I'm very, very grateful. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/JordanSorcery for news on that Trench Crusade miniatures giveaway. It will probably not be too far into the future. August is just around the corner. Until next time, when I'll be back with more history and more Space Marine Summer projects, and potentially in the future, more magic mailbags if I receive any more cool stuff. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery.